wants on how to live longer. What he recommends is exactly what I would recommend for you not to do. If you would want to live longer and be more youthful, which is the same at the end of the day, he also pays people to travel to his house and to then film videos with him, all of these YouTubers, just to promote his ideas, which is fine in itself, except that all of his ideas are wrong.
Hi friends, today we're going to talk about the 3 power laws of health. We are going to accomplish in the next 5 minutes the basic health habits that are going to make you feel the best you've ever done. I'm not going to give you the scientific details. I'm just going to...
Says a guy with very visible dark eye circles, even though he clearly uses makeup, but even the makeup can't help you to cover them up. I guess that they are that severe. And he's dyed hair.
By the way, I'm pretty sure he's like 15 years older than Sverige.
The way his editing team also edits his videos, I've already talked about all of this. He would have to show himself exactly the way he looks like. Then he could be taken seriously. But when you try to cover up the way you look like, then it's just not credible.
Tell you what to do, and you're going to do them because, you know what? You know they work. Let's start. Number 1, you're going to reframe your...
By the way, it's hilarious how he's criticizing him for wearing makeup, which he doesn't do, when Sverige wears a wig. And like, Sverige is also a narcissist. I think the reason why he might be accusing Bryan Johnson of wearing makeup is because he wears makeup.
How can you know if they work? You haven't been even doing it yourself for so long.
Identity that you are a professional sleeper. That means you're not going to sleep when it's convenient, or when your show is done, or when you're finished playing with friends. You are going to set a bedtime and meet that bedtime every single day. You're going to follow some health habits. So there's...
It's not necessarily such a bad idea. Obviously, sleep is very important, but of course, you should do everything intuitively when you want to do it. And in the case of sleep, you should simply sleep when you want to sleep. Of course, if you would typically go to bed at 10 p.m., then you would usually be tired at 10 p.m. every day, except if something strange happens, especially something very stressful, which is why it's not as if you need to set an alarm as to when you're supposed to go to bed anyway.
5 things I want you to do. Number 1 is eat earlier and lighter in the day. So for example, if your bedtime at 10 p.m., have your last meal of the day at 8 p.m., and then try 7, and then 6, and then 5, and try pushing it back earlier and earlier, and watch your sleep improve. Find your right timing, but you won't...
American...
Here's already the first problem. The reason he says this is because the meals that he eats are very heavy on the gut. If you drink blood, eat raw meat, fat, organs, whatever, what humans naturally eat, then they don't even feel it in their stomach. And if anything, you can sleep even better because you're very well nourished. He's talking about you following his so-called protocol, and that's why, of course, you will end up having bloating, gas, digestive issues, and then it would be a better idea not to eat before bed. That's only when you're eating a man-made diet, which is not natural for your human body.
Learn that the earlier and lighter you eat, the better you will sleep. Number 2 is you need to have a wind down routine, which means your body needs to be physically ready to sleep. You can't just work up until the last minute, lay your head on the pillow and expect great sleep. The body needs...
You can. That's exactly my point. If you're healthy, well nourished, I can work, if you can call it that, do whatever until the last minute and fall asleep within 1 minute. Never had a problem. I never understood anybody who talks about not using any devices. Not that I recommend doing that, but just saying it never had any effect on me whatsoever.
To adjust itself from an erratic...
He's talking about getting ideal sleep. You might sleep just fine immediately after playing video games or working or doing whatever, but you're not going to get the same quality of sleep.
Aroused, high energy, ambitious state, whether you're socializing or working, to a calm down...
That's true, but that has nothing to do with it. What would you be doing in the evening which would make you very aroused or stressed? That's what I meant before. There can be such scenarios, but they would be very rare. Somebody would have to call you and say, somebody died, something like that. Of course, yeah. But when is it going to happen? Once every few years.
Ready to sleep space. Now you can fill this hour, well, your 1 hour routine is going to be 1 hour from your bedtime. You can fill it with breath work, meditation, reading a book, going for a walk, but you need to be in a relaxed, calm state, screens off, get your body ready. Number 3 is the lighting in your environment matters a lot. So turn off screens. I have a red light bulb in my house and a lamp. We just have red light in the house.
Makes no sense at all. How can you have red light in nature in the evening before you go to bed? It would make sense if you would go to bed right after the sunset, but in this case it makes 0 sense. If it's, let's say, 10 p.m. there, why would there still be red light?
It's amazingly effective at calming things down and making everyone very tired. Number 4 is consistency matters a lot. Your body loves routine. So if your bedtime at 10 p.m., try to be in bed every night plus or minus 30 minutes, no more. When you deviate, the body gets confused and you're not going to have as good a sleep. Number 5 is avoid stimulants, for example, like caffeine. So if you go to bed at 10, be mindful, you may want to have your last cup of coffee before noon or so by the time your bedtime arrives, you're good to go. All right, so this is
That's good. Of course, you shouldn't consume any drugs in the first place.
First one, this is the most important one. Sleep is your number one life priority. When you feel well, you're going to want to also exercise, which you also know from life experience
When do you want to exercise? Humans like to sleep, we like to rest and regenerate. I've never heard of anybody who doesn't like to sleep. You could say that some people would say that they would rather do something else, but I've never heard anybody actually say that, because when you want to sleep, you just want to sleep because you want to do it. You need it. You like it. Nobody on earth likes to exercise. Nobody wakes up after a good night's sleep and says,
So Sverige assumes that because he doesn't like to exercise, nobody else likes to exercise.
now I want to exercise. You push yourself to do it because you're brainwashed to do it. I get that. But nobody actually wants to go for a run now or do anything exertive, stressful, because humans are naturally programmed to avoid stress at all costs. There's literally nobody on this earth who wants to have stress.
Exercise, you feel great. So now you're going to start an exercise protocol.
Sverige is a lazy retard.
He said that you feel great during exercise. Is that his point? Because nobody does. If anybody on this earth would feel great during exercise,
Nah, Destiny's son didn't respond to my email. I don't know if Destiny's online. No. Next time I catch Destiny online, I'll ask him about it.
and you could find tons of photos and videos.
I love lifting weights, it's my favorite hobby. Sverige is being too extreme, lol.
Sverige probably has low testosterone, and he probably doesn't have much energy because of his shitty diet. And he also has like mental health issues and shit. Like, if he were kind of a, like, if he had high testosterone, didn't have mental health issues, I can guarantee you he suffers from depression. He's talked about suicide how many times. He committed a mass stabbing at his high school too, and he tried to commit suicide after that. And he eats like shit. Yeah, if you're Sverige, you're going to be very unmotivated to exercise. You're going to have no energy, and it's going to feel crappy to you. But if you're a healthy person with lots of energy, like, yeah, you end up being self-motivating and you want to move and you want to exert yourself. Like, it's kind of funny how he's kind of proving that he's not in good health.
Wait, Destiny.
Of people smiling, enjoying themselves, running for 30 minutes, lifting weights. Oh wow, this feels really good. No, what kind of face expressions do you actually see? I hate this. Please, when can I stop? Oh my god. 10 more minutes? No, I don't want to, but I need to. It's healthy. Yes, I need to push myself. And that's what you get out of exercise. And you're completely in denial and delusional if you believe anything else. And the reason it's like that is because of how unhealthy it is. If anything feels bad for you, and especially when you can see that in face expressions, then it's unhealthy. No exceptions, 100% of the time, that is the case.
Well, if you haven't already, and you're going to do 2 simple things. Every day, do 30 minutes of exercise. And that can be something like swimming, running, biking, hiking. It can be strength training. That's a basic starting point. Now, of course, we'll jump into more advanced things in other videos, but it's really establishing the basic.
Also makes zero sense. I will link some studies, such as a meta-analysis. You can take it seriously or not. I wouldn't blame you if you don't. But
Studies on exercise lowering lifespan. The extreme exercise hypothesis, recent findings in cardiovascular health. So this is just talking about extreme amounts of exercise, and it literally says there's an amount of exercise that gives you the most amount of benefit. By the way, I've seen the research on this. Even among like really high level professional athletes who have extreme amounts of exercise, they still have better health outcomes than the general population. So he literally linked a study that disproves his point. This isn't a study, this is a blog article, so we can skip that. Another blog article. Cardiac remodeling, concepts, clinical impact, pathological mechanisms. This has nothing to do with exercise. He didn't even read this. Changes in renal markers and acute kidney injury after marathon running. He linked a study on people who completed a marathon race where some of their kidney markers increased, but they went back to normal 24 hours afterwards. Muscle strengthening activities are associated with lower risk and mortality in major non-communicable diseases. He linked a study showing weight training lowers mortality risk, but then claimed this is proof that it increases mortality risk. This is not a smart man.
It does show you that if you work out, for sure, for more than 40 minutes a week, but he was recommending you to work out for 30 minutes a day, which would be a crazy amount, then your lifespan will decrease. It's one of the many studies that shows you that exercise decreases your lifespan, that you will have a shorter life.
And then two, is you want to be moving throughout the day. So for example, every 20, 30 minutes or so, I get up from my desk, whether I'm standing or sitting, I'll stretch or I'll do a little exercise, I'll go for a little.
Yes, exercise is bad. Here now let me show you studies that prove exercise is good.
Yeah, Sfarage is a pretty dumb guy. Thanks for the donation, CEG.
Walk.
Walking is fine if you feel like it, or stretching is also fine if you feel like it. None of it is stressful.
But moving throughout the day, there's an infinite rabbit hole on what to do for exercise, and that's great, and we're going to cover it, yes. Also, the daily practice of being active in both an activity and throughout the day is the power law of activity. All right, number 3 is diet. Now, this is the most complicated of them all.
It's not complicated whatsoever. He used to take like 50 or 100 pills a day while eating a vegan diet because his diet is so horrible. Plants don't have over 15 micronutrients. Obviously, you will be deficient if you follow his blueprint protocol. I've broken this down in the past in detail. I'm not going to go over that again. I went over all of these supplements, the whole list.
Because I guess I speak from personal experience, is food is a...
Oh, hey.
It's a place we go to self-soothe, and it's also a source of addiction and all sorts of emotional problems.
Natural food is not the source of addiction. You're talking about unnatural garbage, such as grains full of flavorings, drugs, sugar. Yes, of course, because that's not food. Only natural food can be called food. Humans in nature, as I said before, drink blood, they eat the organs of the animals, the fat, everything, and also the muscle meat, of course. If they have an abundance of meat, then they give the muscle meat to the dogs or the lower ranked people. The kings, the leaders, they drink the blood and eat the organs because those are the healthiest parts of the animal and generally the healthiest food for a human being.
I have been
In Turkey.
how complicated food is. I was trapped. And so the reason why it's number 3 is because if you're well rested and you exercise, we all know the feeling we have of wanting to eat well. So it's nice to have those two pillars in place versus if you're not well rested and you're not exercised, it's so much easier to be naughty.
If you exercise, then you need to repair your body from the damage and the stress, and that's why you will crave more meat. Everybody craves raw meat after exercising, but they are brainwashed to eat something else. Vegans would even eat Beyond Meat because of how severely brainwashed they are. And that's why they have these food cravings, they create a million recipes, and so on. But his overall point is that diet is something complicated, even though you literally just need to follow your intuition and eat what you're naturally supposed to eat.
Number 1 is try to never rely on your willpower. So if you have a particular risk zone, let's just say it's 7 p.m. you that's exposed to, let's just call it cookies. You decide you are a person that does not eat cookies at 7 p.m. because if you wait to make a decision at that moment, you will certainly eat the cookie. Now, that was true for me. So never put yourself in a situation where you're relying upon your willpower. Build systems and make commitments ahead of time. Okay, now number 2 is...
That's exactly what I meant. All of these cravings for junk, some kind of grain sludge with sugar and drugs in it, will only come if you're malnourished. If you're well nourished and you eat natural food, the cravings go away.
Trying to avoid overeating. Now, I'll tell you from my personal experience, this is impossibly hard to do. Of course, any one of us can say it, but we all know that we just can't control ourselves in those moments.
Again, literally the same reason. And he just doesn't get it.
So I did something where I fired Evening Bryan. This is the version of me from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m.
Back when you used to look way healthier.
who would unquestionably overeat no matter what every single day. I had to fire him. I had to basically make a rule of my existence that I, as a human, do not consume food between 5 p.m. and 10 p.m. no matter what I say. That's the kind of extreme I had to go to control my overeating habits. Now, I think a lot of...
Yeah, that's because you essentially have an ED. That's what veganism is. Of course, who knows if his supplements are fully vegan? Probably not. But the food that he eats seems to be.
This guy used to eat rotten meat from a fucking jar, and he's talking about veganism being an eating disorder.
And he also got the blood of his son injected into him. I don't know how many times, at least once on video, probably more often, because he deep down knows what he's actually supposed to do, and probably because he feels so bad, he knows that it's not working, and so on. Point being, it's just overall not working for this guy whatsoever. That's why he has to fight with himself.
Let's probably share similar behavioral profiles. So this solution may not work for you.
By the way, Sverige eats junk food all the time. He goes out to eat, he'll go to like a Waffle House, eat like waffles with sugar and maple syrup. People have shared these stories online about him, like he's just full of shit.
For you, but the point is, this is a struggle. It's real. And so the invitation is for each one of us to try to find a system. For me, it was just saying, I never trust myself to make the right decision in that moment. And so systems far exceed willpower. In addition to avoiding bad foods.
That's crazy. He's gonna put people on his own plan, most likely, as to how you're supposed to eat, instead of teaching people that you don't need any plans, you don't need any people who tell you what to eat, how to eat, and when to eat. And you will just have to rely on your own willpower and discipline, go against your own senses to know how you're supposed to eat and how to be healthy. And that's crazy. That actually is being crazy by definition.
Also, I want you to avoid smoking and excessive alcohol. Okay, number is a Mediterranean-like diet. You want to...
A Mediterranean-style diet is one based on 80% animal foods, mostly meat. That's what all of them eat.
No, Mediterranean diet plan is mostly plant-based, and the only meat they include in their diet mostly comes from lean meat and chicken breast or fish. He just doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yet he will probably tell you that you should eat olives with olive oil with very little cheese, if even that, and bread. We'll see, some nonsense like this, because this is what the media pushes, when in reality, if you look into what they eat, you just have to travel to one of these places, ask what your great-grandma ate, you will always get the same answer. Mostly fish, a lot of raw fish, meat, partly cooked, partly raw, just because of religions and everything. That's a long story as to how we started cooking meat, but they still ate a lot of raw meat, also cheese with maggots, raw dairy in general. There's a lot of that consumed in Mediterranean countries. It's just very clear.
Try to have healthy fats, healthy protein.
Yeah, and there you go. He shows the olive oil, which he also sells himself, which are just some kind of plant oils pressed out of a toxic fruit. Olives are toxic, that's why you can't eat them raw.
Trying to generally be on the right track is good enough. You don't need to wrestle.
What does he mean? You can eat raw olives. What? You don't need to do anything to olives. You can just eat them straight off a tree.
Over every calorie and every macro, it's just there's diminishing return. We live in a society where health is impossibly hard. Controlling our own personal behaviors is impossibly hard. Now, I know I have felt hopeless and helpless my entire life in this regard, just until the past few years where I actually have the systems. Now, in this video, I don't expect this to solve things for you. In fact, you know what, tonight, or maybe right now, during this video, maybe you're eating junk food. That's okay, I understand. The point is, we're building a community, we're trying to change the norms, where being healthy is the right way to live. You're not going to...
Again, as I said at the beginning, his intentions, the way it sounds like on the outside, may be good. He's just very ignorant and has no idea as to what he's doing, what he's talking about. He has some kind of...
Yeah, he's one to talk.
He's actually mental. Lol WTF. Cheese with maggots? Nobody has ever eaten that. That's disgusting. Richard, Sverige is clinically insane.
Well, yeah. He's been hospitalized at least twice for mental health issues. It happened once after he committed a mass stabbing at his high school, and at least one other time when he developed anorexia. So, yeah, he is indeed severely mentally ill. Thanks for the donation, CDG.
Got an expert team behind him, probably a bunch of vegans, dietitians who simply learned what the government teaches you, that you should be eating mostly plants, and if you eat animal products and with no fat, just the typical guidelines. That's basically what he fell for. The idea of creating a community full of people who want to live long and be healthy is great, but almost everything that you promote is wrong.
Feel pressure to do these self-destructive behaviors, and there's power in you and me making these very small decisions. So if it helps you in your moment of torment, when you're sitting there deciding, do you do it or do you not?
Search maggot cheese. Kasu Martz.
Do it for the team. Do it for all of us, because if you do it, others will do it. And we know this when we cave, we weaken the entire system. Wherever you're at, no matter what your circumstances are, we can do this. These health habits will make you the happiest, healthiest person you've ever been.
That's also another thing. He doesn't seem happy. That's a very good way to tell if somebody is healthy. That's something that people usually ignore. They just look at the way you look.
CDG donations, I guess there's more Sverige out there than we thought. Lol. Yeah, that's terrifying. Thanks for the donation, dude.
Like, which is for sure valid, and maybe something else, but really when it comes down to the way you feel, the emotions that you express, it's almost always ignored. He seems like he has no joy and for sure no happiness in his life. Just nothing. You just see nothing.
This is coming from the guy who's attempted suicide at least once, threatened 2 of his girlfriends that he's going to commit suicide if he leaves them, and made several YouTube videos that he later deleted saying that he's considering committing suicide because his girlfriend left him. So, yeah, right. Again, he's one to talk.
Nothing. You can see if somebody's happy in their eyes, and you just don't see it. You see this emptiness, this unfulfillment.
Nerd donates $2. Why isn't he put in jail for the rest of his life for stabbing in high school? I mean, it's a serious crime. Some of the school shooters were put in prison for life even though they weren't 18 like Kip Kinkle. He didn't actually manage to kill anybody. I think he stabbed 3 or 4 students, but he didn't kill them. And when he got home, he tried to slit his wrists open, but he was too much of a bitch to cut down deep enough to kill himself. Luna talked to Sverige's parents about this, and apparently, for one thing, this happened in Latvia, and Europeans do not treat crime nearly as seriously as they do in like the US, Canada. So yeah, he was also underage too. So what ended up happening was there was some like court agreement to basically get him mental health counseling. He had to spend some time in a mental asylum, and then his mom basically argued to the court that she would like keep an eye on him and stuff after he got released, and then nothing really came of it. Sverige has gotten a lot of easy breaks and second chances. It's weird how lucky he's been with avoiding prison. Thanks for the donation, though, nerd. Cheesevore donated $2 vegan.
Especially because he is malnourished.
Let's first master the basics, and then we get to play with all the cool new things we'll discover together. Don't do it. Don't do it. I'm telling you, don't do it.
And don't die also in the end.
Well, Sverige is an idiot, but we already knew all about that.